Alright, guys, we gotta talk about something. This, don't worry, it's not a Smirnoff, it's a mojito. In the words of Brian Griffin, I don't think it's a gay drink. Now, anyway, fucking delicious though. Crap, I dropped an F-bomb more than 30 seconds in. I might get monetized. Anyway, this whole man in the Roman Empire thing, hilarious shit. Alright, the reason it's hilarious to me, not because of the Roman Empire, I think about it almost every day just because Spartacus is my favorite show, greatest show of all time. If you haven't seen it, turn this video off now, go watch all 4 seasons, get back to me, and you'll agree. It is the greatest show ever put on earth by a human being. Now, anyway, it just so amazes me though, in the last 7 years we've done so much bullshit trying to convince ourselves that men and women aren't different. A male brain and a female brain are no different. The patriarchy in the system, blah, 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 fucking changes it. And then they hypocritically and with no self-awareness will say, well, if a guy likes wearing dresses and makeup, clearly that's a woman's brain and a man's body. And if this chick over here likes eating tacos and short haircuts like mine, then that's clearly a man's brain and a female body. And yeah, and then that's when they block you because they don't like having their own bullshit pointed out to them. Anyway, but that's just the thing. It's just crazy. Like, I've never heard a guy seriously have a discussion about astrology. I've never been talking to a guy and they're like, you're a Capricorn. But I've had at least 20 women do that in my lifetime. So, the fact they're convincing themselves that we would be more like them or they would be more like us, if not for some imaginary patriarchy. No, there is not a class. Ladies, if you're watching, share this with your girlfriends. If not, right? Or don't, because they might break up with you if they're the Barbie type. No, there's not a secret class where they take the boys over here and say, here's the Roman Empire, ain't it cool? And another class over here where they take the women and go, look, isn't astrology and crystals and blue hair fucking awesome? No, there isn't. Perfect example, I just got done last night. I had a show Friday night and 2 shows. I was at the fucking stage 9 hours from noon to 9 o'clock plus with 2 performances because we had the matinee, then we had the nightly performance, but we had to stay in costume and do a bunch of photography in between. It was a mess, right? But there was 3 dudes on the cast. One is the husband, who's, kind of simpy, and the other's the kid of one of these ladies. And me, yours truly, and 8 chicks that are in that left-wing category. And so it was a lonely couple hours for me between shows because all I would hear about is, 1, how they've tried every diet and nothing works, so they're proud and happy to be fat. Keep in mind, half these chicks have pink or blue hair, right? I'm telling you, stereotypes exist for a reason, okay? 2, they were talking about, even though most of them are married to a man and have kids, they're talking about how queer they are. Because in today's society, that's it. You just dye your hair pink or fucking blue, and boom, you're in the LGBT. There's no standard. It's like me coming up, if I had one of those yellow, whatever the hell they're called, robes with the hat, and I was like, hey, Mo! Look at, brother, I'm African now. I can use the N-word. Mo would probably punch me in the fucking face and we wouldn't be friends anymore. If I were to go up to my other friend who's an actress, Tan, whose family's from Vietnam, with one of those straw, Raiden Mortal Kombat hats, and was like, oh, look, I support the Asians now. She would also kick me in the nuts and not be my friend anymore. But the LGBT, they welcome this shit. They're like, yeah, you don't have to actually be trans. You don't have to actually cut this off, get a set of these. They're like, no, just dye your hair blue and we'll call you trans and we'll play along, sure. Call yourself gender fluid. We'll make up some shit. Say, you go back and forth between the 2. Like, how does that even work? What, there's a fucking you're banging some chick and there's a full moon out and she just like sprouts just here. Fucking grows it. You're like, your dick gets pushed out because she's growing a dick at the same time. She lets out the Tim Allen, or however it fucking works. No, that doesn't actually happen. They're pretenders. They're pretending. They want to be LGBT so bad. They're like, look, I got the blue hair and a haircut like Dusty, but I dyed this part pink. So I'm trans now. I'm queer. That's the favorite word, queer. Because queer means neither gay, it just means weird. Queer means weird, and they've taken it back. I love that YouTube will let me say queer, but not the other words. So this is what I'm treated to. Oh, and their feelings. Their feelings. Their fucking feelings. They talked about their feelings they're having now. They talked about their feelings they had yesterday. They're talking about the feelings they had in the past. They're talking about feelings they might have had in the future. Literally just tables of women with pink and blue hair talking about their feelings past, present, and future that they might have. And this whole Rome thing just shows that they have convinced themselves of so much bullshit that they're like, yeah, guys would do the same thing if not for the patriarchy. If not for society, we would be talking about that instead of fighting and bench pressing and booze and fucking whatever games, Skyrim, Fallout. Yeah, that's how old I am. I'm still playing Fallout 3 and Skyrim. In fact, I'm going to go turn that on in a minute. But it's just hilarious. Like, even the manosphere is guilty of this now. Like, with all their different male types, stigma male, alpha male, beta male, there's a delta male. I don't even know what the fuck that is. You guys are coming up with male types like genders, right? It's crazy to me. So, I knew this couple 20 years ago, right? I was 18, I was working at Walmart. Fuck, I'm old. I was working at Walmart overnight. It's my first job throwing freight. And there was this couple, we'll just call them John and Jane, because I don't remember their names, sadly. But they had it figured out. Better than any feminist or any fucking manosphere guy. They just accepted it. He didn't want her to submit or any of that bullshit that like fucking Andrew Tate or Sneeko would preach. She didn't ask him to be less of a man, okay? They would have 2 weeks vacation. She would start her vacation a week early to go out with the girls and talk about feelings, past, present, and future, astrology, all the diets and how they don't work, right? Because they never fucking follow. And then he would start his vacation. And they had a week together to go to restaurants, try new things, take a trip together, watch the shows they wanted to watch together. And then she would go back to work. And then he had a week with the boys to watch shit like Spartacus together by himself, talk about bench pressing, talking about Fallout 3, talking about adamantium versus vibranium and that nerdy shit, and apparently the Roman fucking Empire. Anyway, I got 3 things on the stove. I'll shout out to you guys later. This has been me ranting about the thing I just ranted about.